today's Take 5, I will be guiding you through a few different variations and practices of Pigeon Pose, because Pigeon Pose is the pose of the month at Breathe and Flow. So I'm going to highlight this pose today. So I'll be using my chair, and then we'll do some reclined versions of Pigeon Pose, and working our way up to some other variations that I happen to love, and moving into the full expression of Ekapada Rajakapotasana. So when you're ready, find a chair or something to sit on, where you can sit at a nice right angle. You know, if your feet don't quite touch the ground, go ahead and find one of those blocks. For me, if I place my feet on the block, it's a little too high, but for some it might work. So you could just shake your feet right on there, wipe them if there's any dirt. and then that will raise your legs. So what we're looking for is knees to hip alignment. So I'm going to remove my blocks for now because I'm not really needing them in the moment. Good. And rather than sit all the way back in the chair, find middle to front edge of the chair so you can feel like you're really upright. The chair doesn't need to hold up your back unless, of course, you need that support. Then scoot back a little bit, or even place a blanket or bolster behind you. Good. Let's connect with the breath in, out. I'm just watching 1 or 2 rounds, and then when it feels right, just move into exploring deeper, smoother, longer breaths. If you're outside, feel the wind just gently blowing in your hair, the nape of your neck, your skin. Nice breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Good. Very nice. So Pigeon Pose, we are targeting the hips in this position, where there's an external rotation in the front hip. Most of the expressions, you'll get a little extra stretch and length through the back leg hip flexor. Depending on the alignment and version that you're choosing, you can take this in a very calming forward fold or even a little upright posture. So my first variation of pigeon that I'm going to show to you today, since I arrived in the chair, will be a chair version of Pigeon Pose. So go ahead and grab a hold of your right leg. So I'm going to mirror you. This is my left, that's okay. And before we move on, maybe you just make some circles, right? Feel your hips, breathe into them, rather than just coming into the pose, you know? Good. Feel how the hips circulating, any tension, any strain. Send some breath and awareness there. Good. You know, lift the knee in a little closer. Hi. And then place your foot on top of your left knee. So the right leg is externally rotating through the hip and thigh. The knee and foot aligned. Send some breath awareness and love and attention, maybe even your hands to your hips. You can do some little circles, breathing. Just giving yourself permission to release and just get settled here. Feel the roots of your seat and your foot grounding down. That might help inform a little lift through the crown of your head. So, of course, this could be taken upright, or sometimes we like to take a little fold so you can hinge a little, releasing and creating some space in the small of your back. And if you want, the hands can come over that leg and you can really take that fold. The blocks will work really nicely here. Just enjoy a breath or two. Of course, you could stay as long as you want and come back and watch the rest when you're ready. So this could be a practice that's 5, 10, 15, or maybe even a half an hour, whatever you want. Good. And then rise up on an inhale, we lift. Bring the knee back in. And as you exhale, release that foot to the floor. Good. And we're going to take it on the other side, evening out the body as best we can. Not rushing, but breathing. Giving some time to settle into this hip. A few circles one way. And then the other. And your hips may be singing a happy bird song, or they could be speaking to you a little differently. Either way, love it. Try not to judge it. Good. And then if you want to take hold of your foot, feel that rotation of the hip opening first, and then place your ankle right above the knee. Settle in just noticing your sides, one from the other. Any differences? Surely one side feels a little tighter, the other feels a little bit more giving. Yeah. And you can remain upright if this is feeling good for you, or start to fold, hinging at the hip points. Feel the pelvis tilt, the arms can reach out, the head can hang, or you can simply keep your forearms on your leg, somewhere in between, middle path. Breathe in. Exhale. If it's real tight here, open the mouth, that might help, or just breathe out just a little longer than your inhale. Nice. Give those hips some love. And so I'm not going to show you on both sides, but a nice hip opener that I like sometimes, and this could be on the ground, seated, or sitting in a chair, or standing up. You kind of cradle that leg and rock it. That feels really good. And circling around, which of course you wouldn't want to do too fast, but that's a really nice variation. And an expression of pigeon pose, sitting upright. If that wrap around doesn't serve you, sometimes you like to take the arms underneath and feel a lift. Good. Simply releasing that leg back down. Shaking it out a little bit. Excellent. Okay, so now I'm going to bring you down to the ground to show you a reclining version of pigeon pose. And we might as well use the chair because it's here, but if you don't have a chair, you don't need to lift your foot up on a chair. You could stack the two blocks. Let me show you. Move back chair a little bit. I'll come to sit in front of the chair. And I'm going to swing my legs up and around on this chair. It's almost like lying down in the opposite position of the chair. A chair meets a chair. Oh, and now of course I have to gaze up at the sky a little bit. Take a breath into that. Oh man, that's wonderful. So the same shape when we were sitting, but now we're reclining. We'll take the right leg in, opening the hip, placing the foot to the knee, and simply relaxing the calf of your left leg on the chair. If you want this to be a little deeper, just start to bring your foot to the chair. And you'll notice that that brings the right leg closer to the body. If you don't have a chair nearby, but there's a wall, you could just place that foot on a wall, getting the same stretch. Breathe into what you feel. Woo, hi! Visitors from everywhere. You like it when I'm lying down. Thank you for all the kisses. All right. You're going to come on out and take this on the opposite side. So left ankle crosses over right knee. I'm feeling just a little less space on this side. So I'm going to create a little bit of length and let my legs move closer to the chair. You could use your left hand to guide that thigh open a bit. So your pinky edge gets a little heavier, opening out there. Breathing in, send the breath and awareness right to what you're feeling. Good, and exhale out. And that's your reclining version of pigeon pose. To come out, you can roll to one side, press your way up, and rotating around, scoot away from your chair, give yourself some more space, and come to sit and just feel those hips. Nice. Excellent. All right, so I'm going to move my chair out of the way now, off to the side. And another great version of pigeon is seated. So you could sit up, prop yourselves up with your hands. Depending on how much space are in the hips, you might need to tilt back as you bring your foot to your knee, and look at us, back in the same shape, once again. So you could take a breath or two here. And when I do this version, I like to create a little space and flow. So rather than just stillness, just swivel a little bit from side to side, massaging those hips. And then the next time that I swivel toward the top leg side, I could rotate, release the foot, sit straight up. So yes, I'm facing the long right edge of my mat. And then I could just fold forward, taking a nice little fold for seated swan, which is like a yin version of pigeon. Good. Take your time trying that on both sides. Left foot over right knee. You can walk that right foot in a little closer if you have some more space, or even walking your hands in creates some more depth and sensation into that front hip. I'm feeling it right in the center. Breathe into what you feel. Feel all the feels. Let it go. Hips hold so much. Just thinking about being at your root, sacral chakra, grounded foundation and creation. Of course, we hold some stuff here. Rock it out. Good. Give it a little bit of space. And then as you rock to the left, go ahead and start to sit up. Let your foot slowly release off that knee. The right leg is just relaxed by your side. And I notice I have to sit up a little bit more here because there's a bit of a tilt. You might feel that. So try to avoid rocking away. Find center up. And then take your forward fold. Nice. There's a pigeon here, a pigeon there, a pigeon everywhere. Got a couple more. Oh man. And we take it in and up. Start to find your way back to center. Maybe a little butterfly pose. Feel all that space you just did. So good. And before we go, I'm going to offer the full expression of Ekapada Rajakapatasana, Pigeon Pose, without any other modification. This is just like our Jody picked for the pose of the month. So come into downward facing dog if you can. And remember, if this version is not available to you, maybe you go ahead and try one of the other versions that I shared. So we'll go into down dog. Nice and long length through the body. On your next inhale, you could raise your right leg straight up and then open your hip to the right side. Bend the knee. Feel a little bit of length and opening in your hip. Good, and then we're going to switch and take that shape forward. Extend your right leg. Draw the right shin toward the parallel front line of your mat. The left leg goes long and back. You can prop up on fingertips. You can walk your fingertips in, prop up a little more, like a proud pigeon. Yeah, good. Feel all that space you created through all the other variations that we took today. If you're feeling a little bit of height and length, maybe the arms reach up. Celebration of the day. Good. Bring those hands back to your heart. Maybe you take a fold here, releasing into what's good. It's all good. Nice and easy. Walk it back in. Tuck those back toes under. Take your time. Find your way back to down dog. You guessed it. We're going to do it on the other side now. So raise the left leg. Bend the knee. Open the hips. Bounce it out. Good. Prepare to come forward. Face the front of your mat. Draw left shin to the head of the mat. So my left knee is right behind that wrist. And I'm going to wiggle that foot closer to the right wrist. Sometimes the hips don't want to do that. And it's okay. We have the block. You can prop it right underneath that front hip. And all of a sudden, it's a little bit more attainable. We'll spend a couple of breaths here on this side now.
So I know that you know a couple more versions of Pigeon Pose that I didn't even show here today. So your homework, although I'm not going to collect it, is give it a try. Play with different variations of Pigeon. Share with us your favorite version and your why. Truth is, the hips don't lie, and this just feels really, really good. Thanks for practicing with me. Taking 5 at 5. I hope in some way this practice serves you on and off your yoga mat. Namaste. Peace your way.